Hello, everyone. Hello, Internet. Welcome to our podcast, our video game retrospective podcast, where we talk about our favorite games. It's a bit of a derp round sesh. Thank you for joining us. We are the Gaming Game Bros. Pass us.
Yes,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Super Mario Odyssey.
Cool. Oh yeah, I'm Ian, by the way.
And I'm Zane as
Yeah,
well.
that's the part I didn't do. But that's cool, though. Welcome back to Gaming Game Bros. Wow. I played some of the music that I wasn't supposed to play. But how's it going, everyone? So here we are, Zane, episode 2.
Hey, it's episode 2.
I know, it's pretty nuts. We've made it this far.
Yeah, this is the episode where we're going to tackle well, I guess we're really going to delve into the first kingdom, the Cap Kingdom.
Yes.
And then we're going to delve into I imagine we're going to delve into the Cascade Kingdom.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we'll leave off, I assume. We'll probably have enough time to get through at least the Cap Kingdom. But yeah, so that's where we're going to be diving in today. We basically went through kind of just our general thoughts and first impressions of Mario Odyssey in the first episode. Thanks for coming on this Odyssey with us.
You'll probably hear more of my first impressions of the game in this episode.
Yes, that makes sense. Because really, it was more, I guess it was our impression of the idea of the game.
Right.
But, and that music I just played was a bit of a teaser, I suppose, of our journey that is coming. So we come into the game, and we have the first encounter with Bowser.
Right. You get tossed off a ship.
We get tossed off a ship.
Mario freaking dies.
Mario dies, and then the game's over. But, yeah, so we come in the midst of a battle, as opposed to other Mario games. We have like a little cutscene, which is nice.
Yep, it's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bowser talks.
Yep, we land in the Cap Kingdom, and then Mario, you hit the B button, and then Mario jumps
you wake him up. You wake him up, and that's when you get your first dive into like controls.
Yeah,
essentially.
You walk around. You don't have Cappy yet, but guess what? Oh, that's gonna change.
That's gonna change real soon. He's floating around. You know, first you're looking around, you look at him, then he runs away from you. Yep. And now Cappy, we're gonna dive into him quite a bit more. He is an anthropomorphic hat ghost that seems to be able to change himself into a Mario hat as well, which we see whenever he goes over to Cappy.
It's a very unique
you walk him over.
Idea.
It's unique. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, really. I wonder more about Cappy's people. We see them inhabiting the land. They all seem to be hats. Do they have to be hats? Mm-hmm. Can they be other things?
Right. Yeah, what's the limit? Can they turn into whatever they want? Can they only turn into hats?
Right. Do they have to be inhabiting a hat? It does seem that Cappy can...
I mean, I guess they are all caps.
That is true. They're all caps. And you talk to many... They're kind of all around the level, just saying random things. But really, Cappy seems to be the only one with any sort of extra powers. Right. The others seem pretty helpless. You talk to one... as you enter the level, essentially, after you go over to Cappy, first he's like scared of you. But then he's not so scared after you talk to him, and he's like, oh, I think there might be an aircraft we could use in the land next over. And he basically motions over to all of the aircrafts they have that are also hats that have been destroyed by the Broodals. So that's what he alludes to, the Broodals for the first time. And you basically get that shot kind of up at the at Top Hat Tower, which is going to be like the destination of the level when you first drop into it, which you can basically beeline towards, or you can play. That's an interesting thing about this level as an introduction is it doesn't do the sandbox thing right away, because you could just beeline towards Top Hat Tower right after you get Cappy, or you can derp around and talk to the different ghosts and kind of see what's going on. It's that Banjo-Kazooie style of these characters are all kind of just sprawling and around, but you just have to happen upon them. They're not necessarily like in your path.
Yeah, this kingdom, we touched on it a little bit in the first episode, but there's not like a whole lot to do, really. It's
not a ton.
It's
very small. At first, around 30 moons, I think, before the post game. So
yeah.
Not a ton. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
Cascade has 200 right off the bat, I believe, or close to that, or is it 100?
Well, I know the first time you go into the Cascade Kingdom,
Mhm.
you don't have access to all the moons.
True.
The moment it's actually interesting. The moment you're able to leave the Cascade Kingdom, and it gives you the choice to go to the Sand Kingdom next. You can just go back to the Cascade Kingdom, and it'll give you access to
Right.
all.
More sandbox.
Yes, more
You can
sandbox,
just go back
more moons.
if you
but
want.
It is actually limited for a short period of time, but it's just that first time.
Yeah,
you go. You
basically.
beat the boss, and then
Right. Another brutal, which
yes,
we'll
a more
we'll
unique brutal.
We'll get to her later.
Yeah.
She's her own thing. Kind of divergent from the others. But yeah, so we have our threat. And I suppose we can talk more about the brutals once we get to the top of the tower. But also, just speaking of Sandbox Banjo-Kazooie, Top Hat Tower is essentially this giant top hat that you see at the back of the landscape.
Yeah.
With the brutal ship kind of just circling it. Very Mario World style.
I bet you didn't think we were going to go into this much detail, did ya?
You didn't think so.
Well, screw you, because we are.
Well, we can do what we want, and we can't be tamed.
That's a good. And we can't be tamed.
And if you think we can, you're wrong. That's not good.
Anyway, so the tower's in the back.
Yeah, so towers in the back. We got the brutals are circling overhead like Super Mario World overworld style. Super Mario World overworld style.
Yeah.
So you just kind of see them like hovering around.
It's the. I'm sorry, I wanted to jump into a rap when you said that.
Oh yeah.
So it's because style was at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Super Mario.
It's the Super Mario World overworld style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word. But yeah, it is so you basically see them kind of looming above, and yeah, you can either go straight towards it, you can hang out in the world a little bit. There's a few frogs to inhabit nearby.
To inhabit.
That's essential. Or to capture. Well, you get it is
Mario's new inhabit mechanic.
It is an odd it is an odd mechanic to talk about. Because the other words you could use to describe what he's doing are like possess, or it becomes very sinister. So basically, what I was going to say also about the brutals is they're the first enemies we're really able to pursue since we just get Bowser in that cutscene. And they are they're definitely a part of the game that I guess could be divisive, but I really like the brutals, and in researching more about them, I just like them more and more. And I guess we should point out that they are the wedding planners for Bowser.
Which you may forget.
Which you might forget.
You might easily forget.
Yes, so yeah, though I like the brutals, I think I like them because they're almost given nothing, so they just seem like very out of context.
Right, well, sometimes I get in the worlds they might seem like padding or something, or like just kind of something to throw at you to give you
like,
something to do.
Incorporate the theme of wedding.
Actually, it wouldn't feel. This is my one critique, because they're fun battles, but I think the reason that they might feel a little bit like padding is because the battles repeat.
Right.
You do.
They do. They're formulaic for sure. It's not really, other than the big one we're talking about, actually, literally big, not like harder. But in the Cascade Kingdom is the biggest divergence. Other than that, they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I guess I should point out.
And they actually repeat.
That's true. You do actually. Yeah, that's true.
Well, maybe not each one twice, but you do have to.
Yeah, that is true.
Because in the Bowser Kingdom, you'd have to redo two of them.
And they like the souped up versions or slightly altered.
There you go.
Yeah. So they're kind of looming above, and we've got like short green suit guy. His name is Topper. Now in the game, you never.
His name is
Topper.
But
you never. They're only referred to in the game as like those monsters, like the caps down are like those monsters have taken over our stronghold, or like those. And they refer to themselves as the brutals. And in the text boxes in Mario Odyssey, you for every main character have a little icon. Bowser has one, Mario has one, Peach has one. And so they're just represented by those icons, and you don't get their names. But canonically, the green one is Topper. They also kind of talk like New York gangsters, like Wise Guys.
Yeah.
So like they all kind of have like a Joe Pesci vibe,
Yeah.
which I enjoy a lot. They're kind of like
I've been playing Final Fantasy 15. I don't know if you remember, but in Golden Key, I think that's how you say that, which is like the restaurant, like fancy restaurant that's on the beach. There's a guy that's supposed to grant you passage or on a boat to like another. I don't know. I can't remember any of the continents' names, but his name's Dino.
Yeah.
He's like,
hey,
I'm Dino. And
I'm walking over here.
And he's got like, it's almost a mysterious kind of like whatever accent he has, because it's like a mixture of like that kind of almost Boston thing.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know. It's just a weird mix of things. But that's kind of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, there's like they're all like huge swings at like different like types of people.
Right, and
essentially.
a lot of times they're like a weird mix.
Yeah, and you get that wonderful kind of Japanese mistranslation of like what the vibe really is, or it's like cartoonish, like a New York guy, and in the anime is just like the most New York guy you could ever be. Or so they're pretty delightful in that way. So Topper, he's the leader.
Oh yeah, the brutal.
Yeah, the Brutals, and he's also his occupation, as far as in the group canonically, he is client relations.
Yeah.
So Topper is green suit, client relations. The female Brutal is Harriet. It's funny because hair, and she's a rabbit. That's about all. She has a purple dress. And I'm not going to say their powers yet because that's spoilers.
Yeah.
We're only going to get into Topper because that's this level. If we get ahead, that's like 10 episodes from now if we talk about Harriet. And then we have Rango. Rango is the tall, lanky one in suspenders. He's the group's bouncer. Also, I should point out that Harriet is the only one wearing any kind of shoes. She has boots on. The rest don't have shoes.
Dude, the research was done for this podcast.
Yes. Well, only on the important parts of the game, such as the Brutal's occupations, clothes. And then finally, we have Spupert. Spupert. Okay, that's the one I'll spoil. He spits poison. And I think that's why it's his name. It's a play on Hubert. It's very funny.
Yeah.
And
really hilarious.
he has kind of a Morton Koopa Jr. vibe. He's like the kind of like wide one, and he has a purple kind of Austin Powers suit because he's got like the frilly kind of like white middle part.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are the Brutals. If you wanted to know more about them, now you do.
Yep. I'm sure you did.
Right. Topper, Harriet, Rango, and Spupert. We all know them. They're household names.
Is the boss battle in the Cascade Kingdom the big old bunny? Is that the mom?
That she also works at the wedding planning. I don't know what they're. I guess they were the Brutals Incorporated, whatever. But I don't know her exact relation, though. I believe she also works in client relations.
Yeah. Nice. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So that's kind of what's going on with them. Also, you do see the ship floating in front of a gigantic moon. We didn't mention, I suppose, that there
is so much moon foreshadowing in this game.
Tons of moon foreshadowing in the Brutals. Actually, they're based off of a moon rabbit, which is a mythological creature that people saw in the moon, and it looks like a rabbit with a mortar and pestle.
Man.
So that's actually why the Brutals, even themselves as rabbits.
I've come to this podcast with almost no Brutal knowledge, and I'm coming away with a PhD in Brutal.
There's a lot of Brutal information that I stumbled across. But yeah, so even like the Brutals themselves are a moon foreshadowing, and might be why they're so, maybe Bowser's paying them in power moons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, one other quick thing about the Brutals is that their name is a combination of brood, like a group of animals, or the mood, because they are a little gothic. That's the other thing. They all have like spike bracelets, It's so they're New York gangsters, but they're also like kind of punk rock. So it's a mix of brood and bridal, like because they're wedding planners.
Nice.
So brutal, bridal and brood.
That's pretty intense.
The more you know.
My gosh, I would have not thought so much time went into all the
into characters you might never learn the names of or even remember anything about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I see. I get why maybe when you started reading about them,
It was
became
cracking.
interesting.
Oh yeah, I think that's that's something. The more I dove in, I was just like, oh okay, so they actually thought this through more than I thought because, like you said, you could forget what their job is. Like by the end of the game, you're just like, oh, it's those rabbits I fight.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a little brutal insight as we get into the level. So then, as you kind of make your way through, you approach Top Hat Tower, which is a giant spiraling staircase up a top hat.
Yep.
Down below, you've kind of got some like Nightmare Before Christmas-esque house hats or hat houses that they seem to live in. So we know they're ghosts that are hats that are also living in hats, and they use hat ships.
And they have a fleet of hat ships.
Presumably for battle. I don't know exactly what they were using them for. But I assume they were, some kind of fleet, armada of sorts.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if there's any more, because the Cap Kingdom has like 16 people in it.
True.
Caps.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there is other Cap Kingdoms. If there's other...
That's true.
Is that all there is?
There may be...
Are they that special where it's just there's like 16 of them?
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a little strange if you had like a bunch of... Like if you had hundreds and hundreds or thousands of caps that could turn into other caps,
Yeah.
They'd be a little less special.
That's true. And also we should mention, I suppose, that the cap that we see on Bowser's ship whenever Peach is being taken is Cappy's sister. I forgot to throw that out.
Tiara.
Tiara.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've got and that's funny. And there's more of that classic humor that they have in this game.
Yeah, it is really interesting how they wanted to parallel like that Cappy is like the Mario and Tiara is the Peach. And,
right.
I found that fun. I found it cute.
Yeah, it is fun. It's just one of those little design elements. Like there is something fun about them just like putting eyes on a thing, and that is a big part of the charm of the game.
Right. But I will tell you, you might forget that Tiara exists.
That's true because she essentially doesn't do anything. She doesn't have much to do.
Cappy seems way more concerned with finding Peach than finding Tiara because
that is true,
he will fail to mention. At least I think. I played through Odyssey like 3 times, and I gotta say, I don't remember Cappy talking about Tiara too much.
Yeah, I don't even recall her name in dialogue often. It's almost like he's more of like a mechanic than a person.
You know what? I think he might be onto something.
Yeah, but we'll probably get into that more and more as this goes on. But moving on, I suppose, let's get a little taste of the music for Top Hat Tower.
Oh, yeah, like on the inside.
Yeah, inside Top Hat Tower.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an introduction to something that's going to come way more later, and that's just that you are going to go into this other dimension every once in a while, and you're going to do these like mini games, these platforming puzzles, and there's a bunch of them.
Right.
Because like there's a bunch of moons in Odyssey that are just going to be you like going into a pipe and going into this other...
Yeah, kind of akin to the 2D realm that you can enter. And that's used a lot, and it reminds me a lot of the Mario Sunshine dimension levels as well. Like where you lose Flood, if anyone's played that game as well. I mean, there's a million parallels you can draw between them, but that's going to keep happening because you can do that with all of the previous 3D Mario games, since this one is like just the culmination of all of that.
Right. Yeah, and I think it goes to show, I was thinking about this yesterday. I almost kind of want to just make a video on this where, like, video games, I feel like, are having a problem right now where there's such a focus on graphics and making a game, I don't know,
technically impressive.
Technically impressive, right?
I was trying to think of,
to try to like squeeze as much as you can get out of the PS4 and the Xbox One, to get the best visuals. And that leads to long development times and often leads to games getting such a priority on their graphics and visuals.
Their like prowess or like their graphical clout.
The focus on actual gameplay and game feel, as I want to call it, like in food when they're talking about like mouth feel, this game feel. It is, I don't know, a game like Red Dead Redemption, sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. But with like Red Dead Redemption 2, I really love that game, and it's got a fantastic story. They put so much into the story and so much into the way the game looks.
Oh yeah, it is one of the prettier games I've seen.
Right, because I would say like even compared to like Final Fantasy VII Remake that came out recently, like I think Red Dead 2 is still the prettier looking game. I mean, just as far as like they got like the mouth movements down and stuff.
I agree. I think it is. I think it's still a little more stylized. Like even though Final Fantasy VII is super stylized, it goes for hyper realism. Where like I feel like Red Dead does kind of come out looking a little prettier just because it has this vibe to it. You know.
So, here's the deal. I think that a game like Red Dead can have those amazing graphics and can have that amazing story and whatnot. But one part I feel that Red Dead suffers is the actual feel of the game. The way it actually feels to ride around and stuff.
Right.
One of the biggest complaints is that the controls in Red Dead seem a little clunky at times. Hey, I just want to point out real quick, I'm looking at our recording right now. Is that going to run into...
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, just making sure.
You're good.
I know you won't care.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's nothing. Okay. You're good.
Anyway, so I think with a game like Odyssey, even though it is a game that is very visually pleasing, I think that when it came to the development time, they had much more time to allocate toward just making the game feel good and not being afraid to... With these like other dimensional areas or whatever that you go into, and you have these like puzzles or whatever, it doesn't make sense. It's not like it's like a crazy thing to add to the story or something that's going to be like visually crazy to blow your mind. But they add it in there just because it's freaking.
It's just fun. It's just fun. Yeah. And
I really think games are. I don't know. I see it a lot more with like Xbox One and PS4 titles a lot of the time, just because those are the more graphically centered systems. But I really appreciate it in a game like Odyssey, where it just takes swings simply because this will be a fun thing to do.
Right, and that's and we even talked about that in the first episode. I mean, it was just the controls were first, like the mechanic and like just making sure it was fun. Like it's the same. It's the allegory you use with just making the box fun to play and jump around. And that's where Nintendo particularly I feel like it excels, is that they've focused on that fun element almost before anything else, it seems. And that's why they'll even release a console that's technically specs are considered unimpressive, because they're not, that's like the bonus to them if it can look ultra HD. They're way more, and they didn't make the HD jump till way late.
Yes.
But there were still like great games that came through. Now, it's not as many. Yeah. Not as many. But that's because developers were, developers were just more hesitant to launch things on it at that point. But once the Switch got back to basics and developers had a standard controller they could use that's not like a weird screen controller and not like a nunchuck. Right.
I think Nintendo did a really good job with the Switch because it doesn't have that graphical prowess. It's good enough, and
it looks good too. Yeah, I mean, I hate to take away from it too much.
And I think the real premise is just that, and we can get back to Odyssey here in just a sec, but this is a system where we're going to give you these first-party titles that are fun, and guess what? You can take them with you wherever you go. It's right. It's a really good idea. But back to the specific other dimension that you go to, the tower. The cap tower or whatever. Right. So you go and let's blast those tunes. Let's blast them.
So this is all right. We're back.
All right.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring us back
Yeah.
to the tower.
Okay, so yeah, you walk forward. You do a few little platform things, and then you find frog. You capture the frog. I know we touched on that.
We did a little bit, yeah.
So yeah, you capture the frog using Cappy. You turn into the frog, or you're controlling the frog,
Right.
and then you can jump high.
Yep, and that's basically the frog mechanic, and it makes sense that the first one would just be a jump.
Right.
I guess it is jump man we're dealing with, so.
Yeah, you can either jump, you can press A to jump, or you can shake your controller and you'll jump even higher.
Right. So that's about. So it basically sets up like the three main things. It's like you're gonna have an A. You're gonna be able to do something with A. You're going to have like a way you can exaggerate it with shake mechanics, which we haven't really gotten. That is like a thing. Obviously, people don't love. That it has to be, but it's just that they were having to show off new tech.
Right. I think.
And it doesn't ruin anything.
Yeah, in my playthrough, it was something that really, like, I don't like motion controls. You know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Wii just simply because
Motion controls aren't that fun.
I don't like motion controls.
Me either.
Much. But
I'm definitely a controller boy.
it didn't really bother me a whole lot in Odyssey, just because the times you use it are usually. No, there's not a whole lot. There's not like main, or what I would call like main mechanics with Mario that you use it. I mean, like you can shake to climb things faster, which is not something that annoyed me. If anything, I was just like, yeah.
And then there's like the homing move where you can kind of shake and Cappy just like collects around you.
Right. And what that resulted me in doing was like I would just throw Cappy and then I just go like.
Yeah. So luckily, like even when you have to use them to like maybe like get a little like higher of a jump, or it's not anything nuts. You just kind of like, it's a small movement. You don't have to like wave it around or anything. There's not like, you're not having to like aim it. You know, like that. Those are ways where it can be kind of not as fun.
Right.
As if you're having to aim with motion controls, you're having to have any kind of precision.
Yeah.
And it never comes down to any kind of precision moves, really.
I will say, I like dilly-daddled in Breath of the Wild yesterday. I haven't picked up Breath of the Wild in a bit, and I just went around and I was just walking around. I don't know. I wanted to see how the game's very pretty. So I just wanted to be in that world. And I gotta say, again, I do not like motion controls or whatever, but using the gyroscope to aim with your bow in Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite things. But I guess that's not motion controls per se. I guess it's more gyroscopic controls.
But it's the idea or the spirit of motion controls.
Right. Anyway, there you go.
Because it's not a control stick, so.
Yeah. So, you capture the frog. You can jump now. You jump up some things. You get to the top.
Yeah, it's a little ice, like a small ice area. It's got some different platforms. You make your way to the top. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention is that the Goombas in Cap Kingdom all have top hats on.
Yes. Nice touch.
That's something I need to get out.
I needed to get that off my chest.
Right. It was eating away at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you ascend the tower using your newly found frog jumping skills. And you make your way to the first kind of boss fight / tutorial boss fight.
Right, yeah, you exit the little dimension, whatever.
Right.
Realm.
Yeah, underworld.
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know what to refer to that. I'm just kind of using
realm. Yeah, dimension.
The other realm.
The other realm. I like dimension too. Yeah, they both work.
The Twilight realm.
Yeah, we'll alternate different mystical sounding things.
So, you exit and then you're at the top of the tower and then you have the fight with your top hat brutal.
Right. Yes. Topper. And
nice.
This is a little music cue that we get as you're coming into the battle.
Yes.
So you get some. So this is I love this music.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's good. You'll definitely hear it a few times.
Yep. And those little piano stings.
Yeah. So the brutals, they fly up in their ship. And then one of them's like, guys, we got ourselves a wise guy. And then they jump off them. So this is
I'm walking over here.
I'm walking. Yeah, that's what they say. That's
Forget about it.
So they which one do you fight? It's the top hat one. What's
Yes, Topper.
Topper.
It's Topper. Yeah, and Topper, and he has a green jacket.
Yeah, he has a green jacket.
Yep.
He kind of looks like a bunny version of the Lucky Charm guy.
Yeah, he does have a leprechaun kind of vibe to him.
So
his boss fight is pretty rudimentary, as you would expect from beginning boss fights of any sort. He essentially has two attacks he cycles through. He has the first attack where he just has his one top hat turns to 3,
right.
and he throws out spike rimmed
right.
top hats. He throws out 3 of those. You literally just have to kind of like evade those and go jump on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Then he disappears, and that's his second kind of wave of attack,
right.
where it's the classic. You have to guess which one he's under, and you just. It's basically just there, I think, to help you get used to the idea of that you'll be throwing Cappy into things as far as like just boxes, etc. But then also helping you get better at it since you're going to be having to capture things as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just a boss fight to ease you into the idea that like you're going to have to get good at aiming Mario a certain direction and throwing Cappy, which is like it's very basic, but that is like it's basically what that fight feels
it's
like
fun.
to
There's
me.
nothing. It's one of those.
It's super easy.
It's easy, but it's very fleshed out because boss battles like that in a Mario game, I feel are like you're never gonna play one of those and think like, man, this is very like I don't know, not optimized or whatever. You know,
right.
It's like it's always gonna feel very good. Like there might even be times in like a series where a boss battle really is designed very well, like in like Dark Souls or some from software game, but there might be a time
ultra tight,
But there may be a time or two where because it's so complex, it might feel a little finicky at times. Just I think that's a result of like the more complex AI is, the more susceptible it is to having a hard time doing.
It's like
something.
the classic kind of. It's the classic Elder Scrolls engine kind of thing, and we love the Elder Scrolls games.
I think it's called the Creation Engine.
Yeah, the Creation Engine. It's their classic issue of when you do have 100 different NPCs that are loaded in different areas that walk just a pattern, even if it's a very like simple one. I mean, we've seen, that's why Elder Scrolls has infamous like first week glitches because it just you can see that like the engine is just not able to it's something because of like how many cogs are in the machine.
Right.
It seems like one small thing can throw them all off easier than if you just have like less assets.
Right. So a boss fight like this, it's simple but it feels good, and I think it's worth pointing out that is an upside to boss battles like that, is that they're so fleshed out because they're kind of simplistic in nature, but that makes them feel really good.
It does, and since Mario, like you said, it's fine tuned, but there's not so much going on with him that it will ever like be as finicky because he just doesn't have like he doesn't even have the range of like movement, I suppose, a Dark Souls like your player character would have.
Right.
It doesn't have there's just so much less computing going on with his design because it's just like straightforward.
Yeah, and another thing worth pointing out is
he doesn't have stat modifiers or anything
with Mario's amazing movement and the way he feels, he's also put into an environment that is very free, that pretty much everything you see is a place that you can go. Or, that's obviously within the confine, not like the background or whatever, but, everything that you can see that is...
And you can jump on.
You can jump on, and, Mario doesn't work very well, like, if you were to put him in an environment like an environment from software game, that might have some, like... Or maybe, actually, From Software is not a good example.
I liked picturing that, though.
Yeah, well, that's the Forbidden Kingdom or whatever.
That is basically it. Yeah, we'll get to Mario Dark Souls.
I'm trying to think of a game that has like invisible walls and stuff like that.
Oh right.
Like, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
That's a game I just played. That's kind of.
Yeah. No, yeah, newer Final Fantasies. I think they
Yeah.
suffer a little bit from
Yeah.
that wall.
That's not a game where it's like you can go wherever you want
Right.
to go, and you know sometimes you will
Right.
just like flat out they'll be like, oh, there's an open door there. I'm gonna go try to go into it, and then
And
you
it's
just can't
yeah.
go in. It's just like, anyway. So Mario doesn't work well. Obviously, if you were to put him into a world like that, the environment it would make for a frustrating experience. And so I really do think it's just as important that Mario has these worlds that are fun to be in. That's just as important as his movement.
Right. Yeah, and I think in this game, like those two things meet very, very well
Right.
because we get Mario in some of the biggest worlds and the most involved ones, and stylistically different too as like
Right.
the worlds go on. But you have one consistently good feeling control set,
Right.
and that carries it through the whole thing.
And
So.
a great camera.
And a
Mario
great camera.
Odyssey has a great camera. It's probably
Yeah.
one of those things
That
that
can make or break a platformer
Yeah.
of any kind.
I don't think people don't really talk about it a whole lot because usually people only talk about cameras when they're bad.
Yeah.
When you can
Because you
when
don't. It's just like it's that classic thing where if it's the best when it's unnoticed.
Right.
It's like how people don't always notice the bass player in a band if they're not musicians, but like they're like providing they're not being noticed because they're doing the job.
Right.
It's like or like people might not pick out a little drum thing, but it's because it's like it's in there and it serves its purpose and it's
Right.
not standing out. You would only notice it if it hit a
Right.
wrong note.
So yeah, Mario basically too long to read. Too long didn't read. Mario's movement feels good, and also it is amazing what they were able to do with the environments and the boss battles. Also, they do a really good job being succinct or just being simple but very fleshed out.
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely. And so yeah, that brings us to the end of our first boss fight. So
Yeah.
you defeat Topper, the notoriously known name Topper.
The
And
ever popular.
The ever popular very fleshed out character Topper. You take him down. You have your classic 3 hits, and he's done. They fly away in their
He's
airship.
dead.
He's dead. He's dead after you fight him the last time. He's still alive right now. He just has to like go to the hospital.
He's probably still he's waiting for
Yeah, I know.
Odyssey 2 to come out, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to get my hats.
So Topper is hospitalized by Mario, and they fly off to get him to the emergency room.
Like why I oughta.
Right? Why I gotta? I'm bleeding over here. But and then they fly off, and it reveals to us that we have a power line, basically on the top of the top hat tower, and that's gonna be our bridge to the next kingdom, essentially. So that's like I suppose that would be the second capture thing you are allowed to do.
Yep. Right.
Um,
Oh man! And at that point, they flash up the
They do.
the Odyssey title card.
Yeah, and we hear this as you are going to the Cascade Kingdom. I definitely had to pull this.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of those things where I like unexpectly made me
Movie
like
moment.
really excited.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, oh yeah.
Yep. So that's when we flash up title screen. We've got it's like the trailer or the opening credits are over, and now we're actually entering into the real deal.
Right.
And that is true since we've been limited, like I guess up till that point. So it's like it kind of drops you off, and you head to the Cascade Kingdom, which is going to be our next world. Which I don't think we're going to get super far into it, but we can talk about at least the beginning of it here. Kind of a little teaser for next one.
Yeah, I think we just
And-
hit 40 minutes. So that's
Okay,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us on the Odyssey again. Let's get a taste of that Cascade Kingdom music. This track is called Fossil
Yeah.
Falls.
It's my 10-year-old nephew's favorite track.
Check it out.
And the music in the first trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Very soaring score. Yeah, got some like flute action.
Yeah. I can hear Mario just going like, woohoo! Wah! So that's good stuff.
Wah-hey. Whoa. All right. Yeah, so
Oh.
I love that music. And that, I guess, is where we can wrap things up for now. And next time we will be venturing into the Cascade Kingdom on the Super Mario Odyssey Odyssey.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that we were able to talk about the Cap Kingdom, a relatively short kingdom, for 40 minutes.
I'm impressed. I'm sure we will continue to be impressed as we continue on this Odyssey together.
Look forward to the next 5 episodes on the Cascade Kingdom.
Peace.